Alright. So, getting back to this, we have the vague goal of figure out how to use the White Forge.
Yeah.
Which... I feel like I've done it already. I don't see anything interactive. Oh, hey. Dialogue box.
Stop, Marauder! Our bodies are dust already. Must you profane holy ground with further violence?
Flames roar and whip from within the forge. As they rise, their glow washes the room in a gory crimson light.
Did the height of our walls offend you? Did we cross your borders? Sell you weak steel? Tell us, why did you invade our fortress?
Behind the anger and through the roaring flames, you hear the voice of a tired old man. Durgan's battery has been deserted for over 200 years.
No, that cannot be. Obsidian wouldn't allow it.
The flames flicker and shudder, and the stones beneath your feet grow suddenly cold.
Wake up, Exandru! This is why Obsidian gave us the White Forge, that we might take up arms and deal with villains like this.
Heat surges once again from the forge, prickling your skin.
Such a magnificent device, and she can only see it as a tool for war. She shames our grandparents, who wandered this continent and...
Quiet, both of you! Can't you feel it? This chill. This silence.
The fires crackle and snap.
But you entered our keep and found it abandoned. Ruined. What happened to us?
His question drifts from the mouth of the White Forge, wreathing you like a cloud of smoke. The official history is that you destroyed yourselves, but it looks like someone or something invaded the battery.
I'd never seen anything like them. Twice the size of any ogre, and positively fearless. They were...
eyeless. Yet no matter how hard we fought, or how deep we hid, they kept coming for us.
What were they?
Some kind of magfolk, but bigger than any we knew of. We who survived never got close.
They were relentless. Unnaturally so.
Why did they attack you? They didn't stop to explain themselves, yet I wondered at what monstrous wilder might survive in a place like this.
We should have taken our steel and pushed east.
What's to say they didn't come from the east? From the lands Maroon so coveted?
It was a punishment for taking this gift of Obsidian, the White Forge, and squandering it on our greed and vanity.
The other voices say nothing, but you feel their doubt and dissent in the stifling heat of the forge. Go on.
We retreated until there was no place left to go. Until those of us who remained were here.
Here, with the salvation Obsidian had left us.
You used the White Forge to channel your souls into the battery.
Yes, using the same methods with which we had fashioned so much cold steel.
So the dwarves never expired, not truly.
It was agony. Feeling your soul ripped from your flesh. Feeling every part of you torn asunder. But it saved us.
Imprisoned us.
It was Obsidian's grace. Now, we inhabit the monument our people built to the White Forge.
What does this have to do with Abaddon?
The White Forge belongs to Obsidian, of course. It is here that he built his own body.
And whether he found this place or created it, it's a truly remarkable smithy.
We Pargrunin are wanderers by nature. But it was Abidan's call that led our forefathers here after generations spent along the Pearl Coast and Air Glonfath.
So the old stories say. Then again, I can't see any other reason our grandfathers would have stayed here when greener lands lay east.
How does the White Forge work?
Its fires have been blessed by Abidan. They're fed by Aora's molten heartbeat and veined with Audra that runs to the center of the world.
Which explains their conductive power. See, these Audra veins allowed us to siphon essence into steel as we shaped it.
And that essence, the extraordinary heat of the forge, and our smith's skill is what made Durgan's steel so remarkable.
I see. And now you're here in Durgan's battery.
Stuck here, you mean? With all the others who sought to escape the Eyeless.
Real mixed bag of answers. I'm just looking at these. Staying in one place like this would never suit me.
Had we thought longer on the fate that awaited us, we might have chosen a quick death to this slow agony.
Blasphemy! There's no greater honor than remaining here, watching over the White Forge.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
I only wish we could protect this humble monument better.
Or do something. Anything. We were once among the greatest smiths in the known world. Tell me, do Kith still speak of us?
Yes, and highly. You are still regarded as master smiths.
That is good to know. It's only a shame that this legacy is nothing but a memory.
The White Forge radiates gentle warmth.
Is this why you braved the restless souls of Durgan's battery? To recover the process of Durgan's steel?
There's a village called Staltworth that's fallen on hard times. They asked me to find the White Forge. At this admission, you feel a softening in the essence of the Pargrunin. In one moment, each soul and fragment is distinct, and in the next, they form an indistinguishable host. You perceive them as a school of fish caught in a tide, a flurry of snowflakes on the wind, a pantry full of fragrant spices.
Then I hope you're satisfied with what you found here.
At least you get to leave this place.
But it was good to be remembered. However briefly.
As the souls of Durgan's battery speak to you, their collective essence takes shape, much like Merwald's did. There are scores of them, all torn by conflicting purposes and trapped in the memory of their lost battle. You taste the bitterness of their uncertain existence and feel the persistent ache of centuries. It is a slow, agonizing fate, but you find it in your power to grant them another. I got a mixed feeling here. So you can release them completely, which is arguably the moral thing to do. You can have them defend the place, which... But yeah. Also, but a bunch of possessed cannons defending the place is also kind of hilarious to think about. Or you can just bind them to the forge, which is what I always assumed would kind of happen, is them being bound to the forge and being this dwarf in this dwarf possessed forge that helps Stalwart get it back on its feet. But binding people against their will is really fucked up. Although the alternative is just to kill them. That's what it is when you roam again and return to the wheel as you die. I don't know. Because yeah, I can't free them out into the world. I can only kill them. They're already dead technically, but you know what I mean. Like, you can only free them in a way that removes them from this life, and they have to start over as a new life and essentially dying. Whereas right now they are a consciousness that exists, and it's technically alive in that form. In that way, not biologically, but spiritually, or whatever you want to call it, when you exist without a real body. The kind of thing that doesn't, you know, it's just a fictional concept generally. Zoltan, so Maroon wants to leave, but the form of leaving I can give her is just her dying. I think it was Zoltan said that he wishes he could defend this place better. Whereas I think it's Exandru. Yeah, Zoltan cares about their legacy. Exandru cares about doing their job. Oh no, Exandru also wants to protect this place. Which means he would like being a cannon. Maroon regrets being in this state. But Exandru thinks that watching over the White Forge is the greatest honor. So he'd be very happy to be bound to the White Forge. They might be happy just to have industry pop up around them. Instead of sitting here alone in this temple forever, they would have the people of Stalwart working with them, and they would be back to their old ways, essentially, but in a new form. So there's kind of upsides to binding them to the White Forge. It doesn't involve killing them all. Killing all of them because Maroon wants to leave is kind of a bummer and cruel. And also not necessarily even what she wants, because she wishes she could just be elsewhere, not necessarily dead. Letting them man the cannons seems like it could be really problematic if they start getting angry. If there's like some drama, they start shooting at people. But it could be useful. I don't know. Tend your legacy. Remain here and lend your skills to others. A little bit of a bummer you can't just give them all what they want. Release her, let the guy that wants to man the cannons, and let the guy that wants to be a smith, and so on. You feel a plunging sensation as the energy of dozens of souls rushes toward the White Forge. It buffets you like a storm wind, and you brace yourself against it. Finally, the ether grows still again. You feel new power radiating from the White Forge. It emanates a warmth that you feel in your soul, yet you know that you could draw close to it without fearing the heat of its fires. Yeah, and then you have everybody else who's not even one of those three that can't even speak. Did I make a mistake? Because they're not well represented in the conversation, I wasn't thinking about the dozens or hundreds of people that are also in this decision, in addition to those three. Because then you get a new thing that I wasn't really considering in the choice. It's too late now. But I was thinking about, like, we have Wadwin's legacy. Trapped souls are probably not helping. In fact, a series of problems like this where a bunch of souls are all being trapped, like that one beacon thing that was in Defiance Bay, or this thing, where a bunch of souls are trapped in a device. It could be that Wadwin's legacy isn't even actually about that betrayal and the death of a god. It could just be a series of increasingly worse problems where a bunch of souls are all trapped in devices and so on. The White Forge is now available for your use. It has the unique ability to refine Durgan iron and ingots. Multiple iron ingots are required to create a single refined ingot. After refinement, these ingots can be used at any time in enchanting recipes to augment weapons, shields, and armor with Durgan steel. I haven't seen a tutorial message in a long time.
So the dwarves of Durgan's battery did not destroy themselves after all. They fell to invaders.
It's possible someone survived and escaped this place.
We have discovered things thought to be lost. Their influence may yet persist. But we have seen no invaders, and the battery was shut. Did they come only to destroy the dwarves, and then leave?
The very act of summoning this place and letting it exist still may have... Yeah. What if they were some kind of force that just existed to stop this soul forge from existing? In which case, reactivating it might bring them back 200 years later. That might be what the White March Part 2 is. The second half of the DLC might be those people. That problem. The Unworn Path. Among the kind wayfarers, in the event that a member of the Order dies of natural causes, it is customary for the Paladin to request burial in a dangerous place that is often out of reach. We talked about this before, where the group is missing. The road to Red Flower Lake turned out to be even more dangerous than the elders of the King Wayfarers had expected. They believed that the attack against Adrim Delphar's funeral procession had been carried out by ogres. Instead, Sagani and the kind Wayfarer initiates discovered Eotans, twisted two-headed ogres of incredible size and ferocity. Recovering the Paladin's bodies was costly, and with 5 more initiates dying in the process. In the end, Sagani and 7 kind wayfarers reached Red Flower Lake. There, they held a service for Adrim Delphar and the others that died to make their way to the summit. On the way back down, the initiates placed marked cairns along the trail to indicate when it had been cleared by the kind wayfarers and at what cost. Man, that's actually a lot of experience too. Oops. Patchwork boots, exalted hands, once per rest. Bit of endurance and some push on enemies. 25 defense against weakened attacks. I suppose it's their religion and in their order, so they knew what they were getting into, but it seems like a big, like, iffy system to be asking so much upon people whenever you die, because you're just begging for other people to die in the process. 1 day and 20 hours to resolve this attack. I don't know if I'm gonna make it in time. We'll see. We're working on something, right? I wish you could auto-resolve, or I wish you could resolve it with the people that are home. That might happen when I run out, if I don't make it in time, I guess. I think that actually, yeah, that might be what auto-resolve does. Quick save. I want to click on it to see what the no. Okay. And quick save load. I wanted to click on it to see what pop-up window was going to explain like what the cost of auto-resolve is or how it works or whatever. Instead, nothing happened. It just instantly committed to it. I'm like, oh, that's not what I meant at all. Shit. I wasn't trying to perform an action. I was trying to bait out the thing. You have completed Pillars of Eternity, The White March, Part 1. To begin the next chapter of the story, rest in any location outside of the White March. Relatively unsubtle hint at how to continue, I suppose. Whoa, glowy. Right. The White Forge. This iron ingot's been refined by the fires of the White Forge. It can now be used to create legendary Durgan steel. There we go. Got a couple of those now. So how do I use them? Enchant. White Forge. Durgan reinforced armor. Woo! That's pretty good. 15% of incoming crits become hits, and 15% of armor speed penalties reduced. That's good shit. That's good shit. What happens if I try to enchant a weapon? White Forge. Plus 15% attack speed, 30% crit damage, 20% of hits become crits. Oh! Oh, that's a good thing. Better pick a weapon you're fully committed to, because that's a hell of an upgrade. I don't know how many times I get to do it. Wow. What else can I enchant? You can't enchant gloves. You enchant guns, it's probably the same thing, I would assume. Yeah. Wow. It's not a choice to be made lightly. I think that's all you can enchant. I think that's all I've ever enchanted, is chest pieces and weapons. Maybe shields? Yeah. 10% of ranged attacks are reflected back at the attacker. 15% of incoming hits are converted to grazes. Minus 15% single weapon speed penalty. Huh. So it's also usable on shields. So that's the other option. Neat. Very strong upgrade, not that expensive except for the fact that it uses a resource that I probably can't get much more of. Right now I can enchant 2 things total. So I better be fully committed. I'd probably use them on Jaskier, because such a rare upgrade should probably only be used on somebody that's always going to be in your party, which mostly means, I guess, Jaskier and Eder. So make him even more tanky, or make you even more tanky and more critty. I just have to really be sure that this is what I want to stick to. Like, are these the pieces of equipment I want to stick with long term and forever? Or can I find a better greatsword? It is worth noting that you can't enchant anything that has a... Yeah. You can't enchant anything like this that has this progress system attached to it. All the soulbound items can't be enchanted, so I can't use that bonus on one of those. So with weapons like these going out to a bunch of characters, that reduces how many people even have this option in the first place. Still, I would like to find plate armor for this guy that has a cool effect on it or something, instead of just being plate armor, and then enchant that. Using Durgan Steel on a non-unique kind of seems like a bummer, but it's just a really strong piece. It's just a really strong chest piece. Just fully committing, and it's exceptional. He's got a hell of an aesthetic going on here. His helm and shield are a little more faded than the rest of him, and he has a stick, which is a weird fit for the rest of his visible, like, his design. But he's really close to having a really cohesive look in a way that none of the other characters really do. He needs gold on his shield, and he needs a sword. Like the Redeemer. Larder. I guess really those weapons being switched would be a good start. Yeah, although a rapier is a little bit of a weird fit for him. Now that the stick makes much more sense. But hey, I think it's a nice weapon for him to have as the tank. I think it increases his survivability. This is kind of a funny look because she's got like the big bulky helm and everything else is skins and furs. And he's a strange looking one. Yeah, you look alright. The blue cape and blue weapon are a little weird. And, well, her helm looks bizarre, and she can't change otherwise. Right, I can enchant her chest piece, which she can't take off. That's fitting. It'd make her attack faster, which is kind of nice. But as far as reducing incoming crits and stuff like that, I feel like it's helpful to use that on a character that gets hit more. I don't know. We already refined the ore. I don't have to stick around anymore. I can use the ore remotely. But thankfully, I don't have to make the decision now. But hopefully, I'll work my way up to using this stuff sooner rather than later. So when I see such a finite resource, I can be tempted to just never use it ever.
The time you stepped out of Durgan's battery and into the new snow outside, word had already spread of strange lights rising from the fortress and energy crackling in the sky. The survivors of Stalwart flocked to Durgan's battery, their steps hastened by the promise of peace and prosperity at last. They mended their walls, gathered their strength, and prepared their town for the new opportunities that were sure to come. And with the voices of Durgan's battery silent at last, none heard the distant groan of something stirring among the peaks, as massive and relentless as an avalanche.
I'm guessing that might be it. That might be the creatures that did it in the first place. The crumbling edge of this long platform suggests that there were once stairs leading down from here, perhaps joining with the pathway some distance below. It seems a manageable jump from here, on this side, but you doubt you'd be able to return the same way. Yep. You leap, and for a dizzying moment, the ground below you flashes past, and then you are across the gap, and upon the second tower. Okay, so we saw this tower early on. Turns out it's the shortcut back out. It's basically the shortcut back out that you normally see in a lot of dungeons. That's haul ass. Really? They're back.
I'll keep an eye out.
Gonna fuck you up? I'd like to rest for the sake of our rogue, but I feel like that's something that I do once we've successfully beaten the air. Like we're on our way out of here, so it should be reasonable for me to get and go rest somewhere. Hopefully she doesn't get targeted too hard. Was not exactly expecting more foes. But so it goes. Nope, that was it. Back to Stalwart it is. We got people to update on what has happened. Gotta tell the mayor what's happened. And then we'll probably go back home. Engage in some people's... Try to see how many companions, personal quests I can do. Try to make progress down that dungeon that's under my home.
See what's ahead.
Should probably deal with that at some point. That whole weird thing. Told you the White Forge was in there. Now you owe me. You lived here, right? I think this was the mayor's house.
Been 200 years since folks set foot in Durgan's battery. Now you've cracked the place wide open, and with quite the display. Thanks to your help, we just might pull through. You've done a lot.
She shakes your hand. And here, I've been saving these. Some of the last gems we recovered before we had to close the mines. With any luck, we'll have them open again soon. She gives you a small pouch. Gemstones twinkle inside. So what happens now for Stalwart? Now, it's up to us to use this opportunity to pull ourselves back together. She folds her arms. She frowns. I'm still not pleased about having Berrigan's clan a stone throw from our gates, but I'll have to hope that your deal with her holds. Only thing that would have helped is having Tiana still with us. She knew damn near everything about mining. Real shame. But we should have known she wouldn't be with us much longer. Yep. Whoops. She lowers her voice. To be honest, I didn't really think anyone could open the battery. I just gave folks something to hope for. I still don't know if the White Forge will be enough to keep us going, but at least we've got a chance. I'm glad I could help. So are we. But I'm hoping you'll make use of the White Forge too if you haven't already. She nods at you. After all, it doesn't get much better than Durgan steel. If you can forge something into your existing gear, you'll have a powerful set of equipment on your hands.
What's on your mind?
Seems I was wrong about you. Most of these adventurers come for gold and glory and leave us with a new heap of trouble. You've been different.
I'm glad that everyone's pleased with me. And all I had to do was murder one of your clansmen. Well, a life for a life, right? I saved one girl, killed one girl. It's not how that's not how any amount of morality works, really. Yep, there's part 2. Leave the White March, go rest, and something will happen. The one that got away. Someone told me that Harmke is working in clearing the rusted wood west of town. We're not done here quite yet. I should rest, though. She is about to die. Yeah, my chance of dealing with the problem back at home is looking low. Maybe it's roleplay or what, but I just can't see myself making my trip all the way back down to the original region in the middle of all this. And then coming back up. Oh, right, we go here to... You buy an inn by talking to the barkeep. Oh, you really found the White Forge, huh? He shakes his head in wonder. Hardly believed it at first, but I've never seen Renegade so giddy about anything. He cracks a crooked grin.
There you are. I was saving this up for a special occasion, and it doesn't get better than this. Genuine Fenland liquor from over the mountains. All yours, my friend.
Did I get the liquid for... I did, didn't I? The same thing he wanted so bad.
Top
I would like a room. Who doesn't want downright stat spam, basically? Oopsie. Almost over here knocking shit over. What else do we have around here? His better half. Nope. Working on that. I just gotta fight a dragon for that. That's a loyalty mission. Yep. You offered me a reward. I don't know how much I care about the liquor otherwise. A bottle of genuine and expensive Fenland liquor. Fenland liquor is distilled exclusively in the small Retzerin town of Fenland, which sits on a rocky promontory overlooking a marsh. The liquor is distilled from local figs and flavored with a blend of marsh plants, resulting in a sweet-tasting spirit that is popular both locally and abroad. Well, what kind of reward did you have in mind?
You really did it! I mean, people have always come through here, talking about opening the battery, claiming the White Forge, all that. But I didn't think anyone would ever really manage it. I told Renegade I'd be willing to help with getting the mines back in order. You know, do my part. Figure we can turn this place around, now that you've laid the foundation. Please, tell me you found it. I've got a craving like you wouldn't believe.
Here, Haffer gave it to me for opening the battery.
Wait, he did? I mean, you did? I didn't hear any. That's great! And he really gave you some?
He stares down at the bottle in disbelief.
This is just about the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Here, I'll split it with you.
Sure, let's have a drink.
Yes. Then here's to the Lord of Cadnua, and to the battery. Woo! What a kick! That was the best vintage I've had since my farming days.
He grins. You'd better save the rest of it then.
Sure will. This is going someplace safe. Let me know if you ever want another sip, though. Say, thank you again for letting me have this. I've been working on something for a while. You ought to have it. And the coin I had aside in case you, had trouble finding the liquor. I hope you find what you're looking for up here.
God damn, 5,000 more experience from that. That's so much. Pilfer's Grip. Ooh. Minus 10% armor speed penalty and plus 1 dexterity. Who's got a dexterity one already? You got... yeah. Melee damage. I mean, you have a recovery speed of minus 40%, so this kind of thing would be helpful for you to go faster. And you benefit from dexterity. Oh, this already has it, so it's kind of redundant. This does other good stuff. Maybe a little hard to say. How is his perception? Dexterity. Oh yeah, his cap gives it. And that's not going anywhere. So it would just be the armor speed change. Wouldn't necessarily hurt. Was that better or worse than that? Might be worth it. Just to have the reduced armor speed penalties just so he can keep swinging away. Because he does have a slow one. Whereas you should probably focus on deflection just to keep that shit stacking. Because it's so high. There's too many grimoires. I should just throw them back into the box and just go poking through them if I feel curious sometime. But trying to keep the backlog going is just too much. Like trying to keep that clear. His better half. Abbey, yeah, that's Maneha. Siege of Cragholt. That's what happened before I got in here. Battle of Yenwood Field. So these two are before I get to White March. So we have a companion quest. We have the dragon and another companion quest. But this one's actually local. So, we have one last task before I leave this region. Because I don't think I can handle that dragon right now. That seemed like an all-around nightmare. And so we'll travel to the Russet Wood. And see about this guy that burned down the Devil of Karok's house. That wasn't very nice, sir. He said he's a woodcutter, right? That's the woodcutter's grove, I suppose. There's people here now that were not here before. It's him, Harmke. I remember that weak chin and those knobbly knees. She stops, staring motionless at the figures among the trees. A weak chin and knobbly knees. Can't be too many people matching that description.
How goes?
I think it's... didn't quite get those words out. How goes it? The elven man emerges into the clearing and freezes, staring at the devil of Karok. For an elf, he's tall and rangy, with a weather-beaten face beneath stringy, greasy hair. The others with him turn, glaring and gaping at the bronze golem.
Auroch's shadow! What's that wicked thing doing here?
Hamka swallows, a lump bobbing in his neck. Why are you so nervous?
It's a killer! Look, we don't want no trouble. Just trying to do our work.
Beads of sweat have formed on his forehead despite the chilly air.
We'd be much obliged if you'd leave us be. And take that thing with you.
He looks at the devil with a mixture of terror and loathing. Enough. What do you see, Jaskier? Is that the man who torched us? The devil sways on her feet, her whole body moving around axes of her ankles. Though she's talking to you, her attention, a concentrated spear of essence, is focused on Harmke. Who are you?
Just a woodcutter. Ask anyone in Stalwart. They'll tell you.
What are you dallying for? See what's written on the bastard's soul. Her essence boils and froths. Hamka, what do you remember of the village of Cold Morn?
Everyone does. Let the Raid Sarens into the Deerwood. What's that got to do with anything?
I want answers, Jaskier. If he doesn't stop his mewling, so help me, I'll rip them out of his head myself. He steps away from you, but your awareness reaches through his trembling skin and the feeble resistance of his fear. You see memories, snow-shrouded forests partitioned by fallen pines and firs, days measured by the steady swing of your axe. There are other moments, too, recollections that flare up, like a hearth's welcoming fire. There are children, spry and lanky like you, but still full of the rowdy energy of youth. Together you scatter winter bloom petals on a grave. You reach deeper into Harmka's soul. Years roll back. A torch in your left hand bathes your face and shoulder in heat. All around you are other men and women holding other torches, and the mountain air is acrid with the stench of smoke and sweat. Rage billows off of the others. It's been a fever in your blood for days now, exhausting you and invigorating you in equal measure. You're at the edge of the town. Cold morn. It's hours yet before dawn, but the commotion has started to awaken the village. Candlelight ignites behind frost-crusted windows, and haunted faces peer out at you through the glass. You begin to doubt yourself. Just then a door slams. A villager comes racing through the streets, kicking up snow. With his stark white face and pale hair, he looks almost like a ghost. The line of torchbearers ripples as he gets closer. He picks up speed, but nobody moves toward him. You imagine him breaking through the row, shattering your ranks like the bad dream that brought you all here. You imagine waking up in your bed, the heat of your torch nothing more than the warmth of your wife sleeping next to you. Instead, the villager reaches the row of torchbearers a stone's throw away from you. A woman advances from the line and buries her dagger in his neck. The rest of your fellows shout. Rage, memory, and bloodthirsty triumph boil up in you. You all came with a purpose. You came to bring justice to the traitors of Cold Morn. The next few hours are painted in colors more vivid than life. You put your torch to anything that stands, and your sword to anyone who runs. It is as if Magran herself whispers in your ear and guides your hand. Exhaustion has almost cooled your rage when you spy a house at the edge of town, one of the only buildings that hasn't already burned. It's flanked by knotty spruce trees, and the door is painted yellow. Yellow. The bloom of sunrise, the hue of your son's hair, the color of cowardice. Just then someone barrels into you from behind. It's a man, someone you remember from the journey to Cold Morn. Though you can't recall his name, he snarls at you, mad with indiscriminate rage, and it occurs to you that he's mistaken you for one of the villagers. You smash the window and hurl your torch inside. The other man is turned away. You think you can hear a child shriek within the house, but it's impossible to tell above the roar of the riot. Hamka shivers as you pull away from his memory. His eyes are wide with guilt and fear. Spit it out, Jaskier. What did you see? Her feet are rooted in the snow, but her limbs jerk and jangle. He burned down your house. She stares at Harmka. You hear only a whirring mechanism in her throat, but Harmka leans closer.
What did you say?
His mouth quivers. What did it feel like? The torch in your hand? The blade you carried? What did they feel like? A wild, inhuman scream echoes out of the bizarre machinery of her throat. It drops Harmka and his companions to their knees, where they cry out in terror. Gears squeal and crank as she rushes at them. Oop. All for one, apparently, huh? I would not recommend interfering, but here it goes. As if this is the fight where I need to use extra enchantments to help me out. The one that got away. Welp. They who woke the stars added.
Yeah.
Feel a little bad for the other woodcutters, although they, just considering they have a history together, they may have just as well been part of the mob. It's one of those things where it's all dark on all sides, everyone involved. I find it somewhat hard to pass judgment at that point.
Looks a little healthier than before.
What? Two separate giant walls were destroyed? That's how this works? I think I'm gonna go back a bit. Just to hit auto resolve, because I want to learn things too. I'm not gonna make it back in time. Does the auto resolve have a different outcome than not hitting auto resolve, or not? Nope. Library destroyed, south curtain wall destroyed, west curtain wall destroyed. Fuck. There's consequences for not being there. Alright, let's go back to Kadnua then. It auto-saved when I got there, thankfully. So that was a good check. The first time I hit auto resolve, I didn't realize that there was a bunch of other consequences. Yeah, I should have made the trip. It just feels weird to come all the way back here when I'm in the middle of being in the White March expansion.
Sure. Looks a little healthier than before.
I guess this is my little burning of the Shire, in that, oh no, they attacked my place while I was gone. Here's a bunch of stuff that's all fucked up now as a result. I need to now resolve, now I need to rebuild. It's just part of the story of this place, I suppose. West curtain wall, south curtain wall. There's less consequence this time. The library was destroyed when I hit auto-resolve before. That's curious. Oh, somebody else has paid the debt. It's a very small debt. Huh. A band of vicious mercenaries is marching on our gates in 4 days and 14 hours. Should probably deal with that. They who woke the stars. The Glenfathan Astroneers who predicted the Lover's Tide that destroyed Andra's gift took many of the instruments and notes and hid them out of fear that they might be captured by Adirans. Decades after the war, the tribes recovered the astronomers' work. Unfortunately, all the original astronomers had died, and much of their writing was penned in an unknown cipher. 2 Valiant dukes have offered a reward for anyone who can help crack the cipher for the Glenfathans. The tribes are reluctant to let anyone look at the notes, but believe it would be better to share their knowledge than let it remain a secret. You might be the ideal book study character for this. I keep making choices like they matter, but I'm not convinced that it actually matters that you do any of these. Let's manually resolve this situation. Let's just go ahead and fight these guys. They'll probably show up. I think they show up in my main hall and I just beat them up. I don't skip forward 4 days, do I? Oh, Jesus. I have never seen this text feed move so fast. Holy crap. That was excessive and ridiculous. Alright. Well. Is he not gonna... No! He missed he took so long to cast it. Then right when he's about to actually cast it, everyone vanishes. Because of course. Barely injured. That's a good target to go after.
Just like Mama taught me.
Just like Mama taught me. Well, that went fine. I may have missed out on the other attack, but I happened to be here just in time to get rid of the next one. That's good.
Yeah.
Anyone die on my side of things?
Looks a little healthier than before.
Ooh. A lot of exceptional items to sell. Maybe they'll recoup the losses of what happened here. 7 out of 8. I think somebody died. There's a lot of yelling happening somewhere. Am I in trouble? I think I'm in trouble. A Mind Striker. He broke my wall. That's not very nice. Oh, the Warren's Lodge. I've never been there before, have I? Alright, we got new dialogue.
Almost 15 years I've been looking for him.
She stares ahead as you approach, the ink-black marbles of her eyes fixed on some distant point. Her essence swells and swirls in the throes of contemplation.
All that fretting and wondering, and the deed's over in less time than it takes to tell.
I hope Harmk's death has brought you peace.
Peace. Now there's a funny word for it. I killed a lot of folk in my time. Felt their blood slick in my hands, smelled their flesh as it burned.
She holds her hands in front of herself as they twitch and spasm.
And I always used to imagine what it would be like to have Harmka under my knife, feeling his breath come hot and fast, smelling the fear ooze out of him. Couldn't feel a thing. His fading pulse weren't no more than a patter of rain to me.
She shrugs, letting her arms clatter to her sides. Trust me, he's definitely dead.
I know, but I wanted to feel it, you understand?
She reaches toward you with a sudden desperate intensity.
This body, it weren't made for feeling. Gouging my fingers into Harmka's wasting flesh, his screams just buzzing in my skull.
She flexes and unflexes her fingers in a few lightning-quick motions.
All it did was remind me.
Of what?
That this is a madman's fever dream. Like a prison, but no, 'cause in a prison, you lay your head down and you feel the straw soft beneath you. Your flesh prickling in the cold, black bread crumbling on your tongue.
She turns her arms in front of her, examining the scroll work on the backs of her hands with horror and wonder. After 13 years, can't you get used to it?
I still dream I'm folk. I wake up some mornings wondering why I can't feel the floor beneath me, thinking I must have fallen and gone crippled. But then I lift my head, see a bronze corpse stretching out in front of me.
She lowers her head. A tremor runs through her. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
It's not pity I want, it's a choice.
She draws back from you.
I dreamed too of what Galvino did that night. Those moments. I'd endure another cold morn if it'd spare me this fate.
Damn. That's a really severe reaction. She rubs her hands together, tracing her even joints with her fingertips. What happened exactly?
Was after I got caught in Stalwart. They'd locked me in a little house by the inn, the old mayor and his cronies.
Her head dips as she remembers.
When a crowd of them came for me in the dark of night, I was only surprised it had taken them so long.
She hesitates.
Only they didn't march me to no gallows. No, they snuck me to another house on the edge of town, real sneaky-like. That's where I met Galvino.
She raises her head, her black eyes shining. Galvino was living in Stalwart at the time?
True enough. This was before the locals gave him the boot. Still weren't a popular fellow, though. He was fiddling with some machinery in his workshop. Had his sleeves rolled up even though it was cold enough to see your breath. Never actually looked at me until he started fitting some copper helmet over my head. By that time, the mayor's goons had me trussed up good and tight. Galvino was having himself a grand time barking orders at that lot.
What did the mayor have to do with this?
He'd agreed to hand me over to Galvino for an experiment.
She waves her hands at the word, metal flashing.
Claimed it was a fair punishment, but the townfolk weren't too pleased at being denied their stone pitching.
She crosses her arms, nodding.
Didn't help that they heard the jangle of copper in that deal. In the end, that's what sent Galvino and the old mayor packing.
I see.
So while Galvino's fastening that helmet over my head and them copper bands around my arms, I'm starting to look at his contraption. And that's when I see it.
Her black eyes are fixing on some indefinable point. Her essence dims.
It's this metal suit strapped into the machine just like me. A cold, dead-eyed thing, all done up with fancy carvings and such.
She shivers, her joints chittering. Did you know what they intended?
I had this terrible cold feeling in my gut, but I still couldn't figure.
She shakes her head.
I start asking Galvino and the rest of them what's going on, but they're too busy to answer. Then suddenly, they're waiting, staring at me with that fixed, horrified look. But they ain't watching me. They're watching for something to happen.
Her eyes flicker, rolling and scraping behind her face.
Galvino tells the woman nearest the machine to flip the handle. And then, just pain. Being torn apart every which way, feeling my soul peeled from my body.
Her limbs twitch and shudder. She pauses, waiting for her body to fall still.
By the time I came to, I couldn't feel a thing. Just this dull, distant sort of ache.
I heard the old man cackling and chattering. When I saw him looming over me, looking down at me with hungry eyes, I tried to scream, tried to swing at him.
Think that was when I knew.
She shakes her head and falls silent. And that's how you ended up here.
Sure enough, and how Galvino ended up in that little shack. The rest of Stalwart didn't take kindly to having a killer in their midst, nor to seeing their mayor and the Ornery Valians strike a secret deal. They drove Galvino out, destroyed a fortune in machinery, and wrote a letter to the Academy in Salona, ruining what was left of his name. Still, he's lucky he didn't get a pelting. The old mayor fled too, and Stalwart's been as snug and cheery as ever.
Now that you've dealt with Harmka, why have you stuck around?
You're better company than Galvino.
She says it in an offhand, teasing fashion, but she looks away from you, fidgeting with a rivet.
Been a while since I were out in the world. Guess I'm keen on seeing more of it. Even if I'm stuck with a bleeding heart. Anyways, I've been wondering about that fortress.
She looks away again, flexing her wrist joint. About the secrets of the dwarves, perhaps? She's quiet, fixated on her squeaking joint.
Near everyone thought it'd have just the thing they need.
She takes a list off on her clicking fingers.
Those villagers wanted to fix up their brook downtown. Galvino always thought it carried some great secret of Animanson. And all them adventurers came looking for fancy gear.
What were you hoping to find?
I don't know. Something to help me feel. Or forget. Effigy's eyes, maybe just something new.
The tips of her middle fingers clack together.
I just figured, with those dwarves being expert smiths and all, maybe they had something to unmake me. Put me back into my body.
I doubt that's possible. Your body's decayed by now.
I know, it were just a passing fancy.
She turns away, her essence buzzing with agitation. I wanted to ask you something. Never mind. Oh boy. That's a pretty interesting character. A lot of similarities to be had in some ways between her and a character like Jack from Mass Effect 2, both in appearance and personality and elements of her history, although there's definitely some big gaps here and there. But yeah, interesting character to have around. It's good to have a little bit more moral justification in having her around, in that she has a better reason for the killings than you would expect. Because if she just was a callous killer for no reason, it'd be a little bit of a weird fit to have her in the party. But she did it as a revenge thing, which, considering how much blood is on everybody's hands in this game, because it's a game where you kill people constantly, there's some wiggle room there, I suppose.